At some point in your life, you started holding yourself back. Not completely, just enough. You stopped saying certain things. You softened your reactions. You questioned your feelings before expressing them. Because deep down, you were afraid of being too much. Too emotional, too sensitive, too needy, too loud, too complicated. And maybe no one ever sat you down and said it directly, but somehow you learned it anyway. And what's worse is, it feels like your personality, but it's not. It's something that was built slowly, quietly, over time. Maybe it looked like this. You were a kid who felt things deeply. You laughed loudly. You cried honestly. You asked questions. You wanted attention, connection, reassurance, normal things. But the responses you got weren't always safe. Stop crying. You're overreacting. Why are you so sensitive? Calm down. Not everything is a big deal. So you started adjusting. Not all at once, but little by little. You learned that your emotions made people uncomfortable, that your needs were inconvenient, that your presence had to be managed. And that's when the shift happened. You didn't become less emotional. You just became more careful. Careful with your words, careful with your reactions, careful with how much of yourself you showed. Because somewhere along the way, you connected being fully yourself with being rejected. Here's the part most people don't realize. You weren't too much. You were just in the wrong environment for your emotional depth. Think about that for a second. Pause. What if nothing was ever wrong with how deeply you felt? What if the problem wasn't your intensity, but the lack of space around you to hold it? When you grow up in an environment where emotions aren't handled well, you don't learn how to express them. You learn how to suppress them. You start scanning people's reactions, reading the room, predicting what's acceptable. And eventually, you build a version of yourself that feels safer, smaller, quieter, more controlled. But inside, nothing actually got smaller. The feelings are still there. The thoughts are still loud. The need for connection is still strong. You just don't show it the same way anymore. And this doesn't just stay in childhood. It follows you. Into friendships where you hesitate before opening up. Into relationships where you overthink every message. Into everyday conversations where you replay what you said hours later. Did I talk too much? Did I say something weird? Was I too emotional just now? It's exhausting because you're not just living your life, you're constantly editing yourself in real time. Here's something that might feel uncomfortable to hear. That fear of being too much often turns you into someone who accepts too little. You tolerate distance. You accept half effort. You stay quiet when something bothers you, because speaking up feels risky, because being honest feels like you might push people away. So instead, you shrink and call it being easygoing, or low maintenance, or chill. But deep down, you know it's not fully you. Pause again. Think about the last time you wanted to express something but didn't. What stopped you? Was it really about the situation? Or was it that old fear whispering, "Don't be too much"? The truth is, this fear is not random. It's learned. It's a survival response. As a child, staying connected to people around you is everything. So if being less emotional kept you accepted, your brain adapted. It chose connection over authenticity. And that made sense back then. But now, that same pattern is holding you back. Because the world you're in now is not the same as the one you adapted to. Not everyone is overwhelmed by your emotions. Not everyone thinks you're too sensitive. Not everyone needs you to shrink. But you still act like they do. And here's the quiet twist in all of this. The very thing you think makes you too much is often the thing that makes you deeply human. Your ability to feel deeply, to care intensely, to notice small emotional shifts, to connect on a real level. That's not a flaw. That's depth. But when that depth is repeatedly misunderstood, it turns into self-doubt. Imagine this. What would your life look like if you stopped filtering yourself so much? If you spoke a little more honestly, felt things without apologizing, expressed without over-explaining, not perfectly, just a little more. It might feel uncomfortable at first, because you're going against something that's been wired into you for years. But it's also where something changes, because the right people don't experience you as too much. They experience you as real. And yes, not everyone will respond well. Some people will still misunderstand you. Some will still pull away. But that's not proof that you're too much. That's proof that they're not your space. You were never too much. You were just taught to believe that by people who didn't know how to hold what you felt. And now, you're unlearning it. Slowly, by noticing when you shrink, by questioning that voice in your head, by allowing yourself just a little more space each time. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to stop abandoning who you already are. And maybe, just maybe, you were never too much. You were just never fully seen.